Hello everyone and welcome back to another high-level match of StarCraft 2. Today it's time for the grand finals of the ESL Open Cup Europe number 150. That does mean that this is going to be a best of 5 series where in game number 1 we find ourselves on the map Inside and Out. Spotting right here in the bottom left hand corner, playing with the blue Protoss probes from Denmark, we have MaxPax. Now MaxPax is no stranger to this particular tournament's grand finals. As a matter of fact, as we're making this video right now, he has won 34 of them. One of the very best Protoss players on the planet and definitely the favorite, at least in my mind, for this particular series. Because his opponent, in the opposite corner, playing here with the pink Protoss probes, a man who's been making a name for himself over the last couple of years, but he's not quite at MaxPax's level just yet. We're looking at Krystianer's main Nexus. Now, in case you're unfamiliar, Krystianer, he is a Polish-German Protoss player. Right now, as we're making this video, they're ranked 37 in the world overall, according to a Liga Lec. They're ranked 8 on the European Grandmaster League ladder right now. And on top of that, he's only 18 years old. And because of that, I do think that he's got a bright RTS future ahead of him. Because if he's already this good at this age, there's a good chance that we're going to be seeing more out of him in the future as well. And like I said, he's been doing better and better and better over the last couple of years, winning some of the smaller online tournaments. And apparently right now, he's good enough to make it to the grand finals of this particular tournament as well, which is awesome. Here's the problem though. MaxPax, right? I don't really cast a whole lot of Protoss versus Protoss. I don't really cast that much Terran versus Terran and Zerg versus Zerg on this channel either. I think everyone is pretty familiar with the fact, though, that MaxPax is really good at Protoss versus Zerg, and he's really good at Protoss versus Terran, because you've probably seen him play that on my channel many times before. Here's the thing. His best matchup is Protoss versus Protoss. As a matter of fact, and this is even worse for Krystianer, his Protoss versus Protoss is the very best on the planet. It's better than Hero, it's better than any other Protoss player out there. So I've got a feeling that this will be an uphill battle for Krystianer, and if I were a betting man, I'd be putting my money on MaxPax. But we're going to find out together exactly what ended up going down in this particular series, because I'm certainly not counting Krystianer out. Protoss versus Protoss is one of those matchups that is incredibly volatile, right? It's extremely risky to go for a more macro-focused opener, because you might just accidentally be playing against a couple of gateways on your side of the map that you didn't build there. Right from the get-go, though, we've got a little bit of build order variety here. MaxPax wants to go for the fast expand. He's created a wall off right over here on the low ground, whereas Krystianer has opted to go for the double gateways inside of the main base. Both players, though, will be expanding. As soon as that pylon is gone, there you go. You can see that the timing isn't really much different here at all, but Krystianer is the player right now who's got a couple units out on the map already, and I believe, yep, he's going to be able to pick off that very first attempt of MaxPax. Not a bad start here whatsoever. Apparently he's planning on doubling down with the aggression as well by going for a Twilight Council right now, and things get a little bit tricky here for the player in blue because he doesn't really know exactly what's happening on the other side of the map. That's one of the reasons why this Oracle is going to be moving across the map in just a moment, and why he set up this really defensive posture as well with the probe. The probe anxiously pacing back and forth. He's pacing it right here. He's patrolling it back and forth so it doesn't show up as an idle worker. But basically, you want to have that probe sitting there just in case you need to make a pylon or, for example, a shield battery there to complete the wall off and prevent units from coming in. Now, MaxPax, very concerned apparently, decides to even now go for a Void Ray as well. He sees exactly what's going on the other side of the map. Hasn't quite spotted the Twilight Council just yet, but there's a good chance he's going to see that here, as the Oracle is likely going to fly around in that direction here momentarily. In the meantime, on the other side of the map, MaxPax is now also going for a Twilight Council of his own, and now he scouts out exactly what it is he's going up against. So Krystianer is going to be able to finish up that Blink upgrade here nice and early. This will allow him to get aggressive, and definitely, it does mean that he's going to be the one that will decide the pacing of this game, but eventually MaxPax will be able to finish up that upgrade as well in, well, about a minute later or so than Krystianer, maybe a little bit more than that. For now, though, apparently MaxPax feels a little bit feisty. There is a chance, of course, that the shield battery is not going to be there on the low ground, and that's exactly what's going on right now. Oracle sneaking in from the side, I believe. At the very least, that's the goal. Cheeky little Void Ray, being annoying. Deals a lot of damage, of course, as long as it's got the prismatic alignment. Now the units come running out of the main base as well to try and help out here on the low ground. Void Ray does get sniped. 5 probes ended up going down here, but honestly, this is pretty good right now for Krystianer. Yeah, I mean, he's lost some workers, right? And now he's losing a couple more, which is not ideal. Hallucinated Phoenix acting cool, but not really helping out all too much. Okay, this Oracle is actually changing the tide of this battle quite nicely. The problem with going for an aggressive push right before your opponent is finishing up a big upgrade, like for example Blink, is that you can certainly expect a counterattack, right? So Krystianer right now warping in units. I'm assuming that these units are going to be marching towards the other side of the map, because right now he's got a pretty nice, well, army advantage. MaxPax is going to have a hard time expanding behind this here for at least another little while longer, whereas already we see that Nexus going up right here. Which MaxPax scouted, by the way, right away. Excellent play. I mean, he's gonna try. He's thinking about making his own Nexus here, but that seems a little bit crazy. Okay. Obviously, with Blink, you can bring those units back towards the safety. Battery overcharge already used. Here's the second attempt right now for that probe. Would have liked to see those Stalkers a little bit more positioned towards the left. That probably would have allowed him to pick up that probe once more, but I mean, of course, this is a fine situation right now for Krystianer. Despite the fact that he lost he lost quite a few workers in this game and he didn't really do a lot of damage on the other side of the map. He's obviously got the third Nexus finishing up before his opponents, and all things considered, everything here is pretty even. One thing that MaxPax has got going for himself right now is that he went for the forts a little bit quicker. So those upgrades are, of course, very, very significant. Speaking of upgrades, he just finished up Blink 2, and apparently he's now feeling ambitious, and he decides to move across the map. It's 13 versus, well, now 14 Stalkers, though, so I do think there's going to be enough right here for our pink Protoss player to also, well, actually hold this aggression from the player in blue. A little bit of Blink Stalker micro. Both players trying to blink the weakened units towards the back. These are very tricky battles to properly control. So if you blink at the appropriate timing, right before your opponent's projectiles would actually hit your Stalkers, you actually don't take any damage. So damage is registered and calculated upon hit, not upon firing, which is a very significant thing to know in PvP, because ideally, obviously, especially when both players play on the European server, I believe Krystianer lives in Germany, MaxPax, of course, in Denmark. Yeah, they should both be playing on the European server. There should be a minimum of ping, so you can't cut it quite close. But obviously, you don't want to cut it so close that you end up losing a bunch of units for free, right? Because then you obviously have to deal once again with units on your side of the map. Anyways, the gateway explosion is coming up right now. 5 additional gateways being added on. We're going to see a Templar Archives as well. That'll probably be for Archons here. At the very least, that's an option. Couple of adept shading right now towards the left side of the map. MaxPax maybe thinking about sending those towards the natural, but 2 Stalkers here for Krystianer. They've been on countering that Oracle duty. They're going to be pretty good as well when it comes to shutting down those adepts here at this point in the game. Observer up above as well, so Krystianer sees exactly what he's going up against. Forced to move these units around a little bit, but shield battery. It's going to be overcharged. Should be a-okay. Now those adepts are sneaking in. Stalkers actually just pulled away at the most unfortunate timing. Couple of probes will end up going down, and of course, while these Stalkers are distracted, we now also see the Stalkers in blue moving in. They're thinking about going after that shield battery, and they do indeed snipe it. He wanted to maybe snipe that as well. Ambitious move right now, though, for MaxPax. Going on a little bit of a walk here. Maybe he can shut down that Nexus. He wants to. Okay. We'll be able to force the Council at the very least, but he's going to have to pay for this with a couple of Stalkers as well. Honestly, so far, solid gamer for Krystianer, right? Snipes the Observer as well. MaxPax could have done some damage here. Not gonna happen, though, as he ends up losing the Oracle right now as well. And yeah, he's going toe-to-toe with the best Protoss versus Protoss player on the planet. Now even shutting down the 4th Nexus here at the 6 o'clock position as well. This is the level of game we want to see. Okay. The level of game, the level of gaming, probably a little bit better. English. Strange language. Just say words, Lowko. It'll be fine. Once again, a little bit of a nuisance here on the other side of the map, but plenty of reinforcing units. I'm liking this position for Krystianer a lot right now. He's going for MaxPax, that is. He's going for a Nexus right here on the left side of the map as well. So both players mirroring their base layouts. One thing, though, that's quite nice right here for MaxPax is that he's already started up the Immortal production, right? So Immortals are pretty sweet in this, this particular scenarios. Because Immortals, of course, deal a ton of damage to Stalkers, but you gotta be very careful, because if those Stalkers just blink on top of the Immortal, they can pick it off in a heartbeat. Archon coming up right now as well. Zealot being annoying, but there is one Photon Cannon there inside of that mineral line. That's quite nice. Force Field here is gonna deny some more of that progression. Another Zealot drop over here in the main base, though, being super annoying, right? And that's really the theme right now for MaxPax. He's trying to kill workers, and he's doing so very nicely. As a matter of fact, he's killed 20 of those probes in total so far in this game. 21 right now. He'll probably do more as well, but he's throwing away quite a few units with it too. So you can really see 4,200 minerals lost for MaxPax, 1,200 gas versus 2,700, 400-ish gas right now for Krystianer. So even though he's harassing the workers very nicely and he's, well, destroying a lot of them, it's not really giving him that much value because he's also losing a lot of army here in the process. Okay, good back and forth once again. Immortal still having a grand old time walking around for now, but it's probably going to start firing again in just a moment. Krystianer trying to cut off his opponent for that, that 5th Nexus here on the left side of the map. That Prism is not going to live. At the same time, there was a little bit of harassment right here at the 3 o'clock position as well, but that one's going to get picked off. Nexus here at the 9 o'clock position. Looks like the harassment on the right side of the map was dealt with once again. Honestly, excellent game so far from Krystianer. Not really running into, well, that many issues just yet. And even though I assumed that this was going to be a very obvious advantage for MaxPax, just because MaxPax is so comfortable in his matchup and, well, very experienced in these tournaments as well, Krystianer is showing us that you certainly don't want to count him out. This is shaping up, by the way, to be an excellent game of PvP as well. Because both players are trying really hard to win, but nearly 12 minutes into this game, no one is significantly ahead just yet. Aggressive Blink right now. He really wants to get rid of, I believe, that Immortal. Now, the Immortal is not really getting as much value in as I expected, though. Yeah, I guess with the follow-up Blink, there you go. He's going to be able to get rid of that eventually as well. In the meantime, though, while this is happening, we still have continuous aggression inside of the main base. Zealots upon Zealots here fighting one another. Looks like there are more blue Zealots, but the reinforcing Zealots in pink are going to be able to push them back eventually. But 2 of them got inside of the plane, and they'll be thinking about potentially harassing over here. But there is one shield battery set up, as well as a photon cannon, so don't think it'll really get a whole lot of work done. Okay. Both players going +3. Generally speaking, the follow-up from this gateway-based army is going to be a Robo Bay together with Disruptors. And that's where this gameplay becomes incredibly hectic. Like, if you're thinking you're already kind of having a hard time following exactly what's going on, I mean, I can switch to the first-person view for just a moment. That was MaxPax putting down his Robo Bay. In the middle of combat, these fights are incredibly tricky because you got a micro while also, well, microing your macro, right? You're always dealing with very limited amounts of information. As soon as Disruptors hit the battlefield, things definitely get even spicier. I'm going to take control of the camera once again, just because I don't want to give anyone any headaches, but Disruptors, of course, can deal with a tremendous amount of damage. They don't really care about your upgrades very much. They just blow stuff up. Battery overcharge being used right here for MaxPax, trying to keep those units at bay, and at the very least for now, Krystianer is going to have to back off. Archons are fantastic when it comes to dealing with Zealots that especially charge at your army. So you gotta be mixing those in ideally as well. So if you can get them in the middle of the battle, that is sweet. 98 army supply right now for Krystianer versus only 79 for MaxPax. Gonna try and shut down at least some of that production inside of the main base, but I think we're gonna keep our eyes over here as Krystianer snipes another Nexus. MaxPax is sniping probes, but Krystianer is sniping Nexi, and honestly, I think I prefer, the situation right now for Krystianer quite a bit. MaxPax wants to make the transition towards Disruptors, but he also knows that he can't really afford making them very easily because he needs reinforcements right now. It takes quite a while to actually get those units going, but he does start up one right now, at this point. Okay, so one nice thing, right, is that Disruptors are a fantastic comeback mechanic. Sure, right now Krystianer's army is massive, but one good Purification Nova in the middle of that pink army can change the tide of battle very, very quickly. APM-wise, though, look at that. Both of these players going toe-to-toe. Krystianer actually outpacing MaxPax a little bit, although average actions per minute are probably more important than just straight up APM. At this point, our player in pink, oh, he snipes a Disruptor, but he does not have a Robo Bay of his own just yet. Battery overcharge once again activated. He's going to be forced to pick off and get on out of there. A couple of Zealots working at the new base that's required at the 12 o'clock spot. Reinforcing Zealots, though, are going to be able to get rid of that, I think. Oh, my God. Could have probably gotten it, actually. Always hard to say. Obviously, MaxPax isn't sitting there staring at that Nexus of his opponent because he's still busy right here dealing with the main army in pink. Disruptor right now. Should probably be moving forward. Blink is on cooldown, trying to go after the Zealot. Gets a couple of them. Not bad. Robo Bay as well as a second Robo facility right now coming up for Krystianer. But honestly, yeah, MaxPax blinking like a champ here. Getting some good value in a lot of these fights. As you can see here, resources lost-wise, he's actually caught up very, very nicely. So even though the early game didn't go particularly well for him, he's got a good amount of stuff. Now a lot of Zealots, though, blinking in from the, or charging in from the side. Excellent Purification Nova. A lot of those Stalkers are low on health. Gonna be a little bit until they regenerate their shields. So indeed, both players decide to disengage. But MaxPax seems to have Krystianer's number when it comes to microing his units. And this is gonna get more and more important as this game progresses. Especially when both players get to that Stalker Disruptor-based army. Okay. Archons don't care too much. At the very least, not when it's only one Disruptor. Our player in pink has to be a little bit careful, though. Yeah, he's bleeding out a lot of units for essentially free. Oh. I accidentally backed off. Nobody noticed that. I'm a professional. I tried opening up the battle report. The battle report is Shift plus B, and backing off in a replay is hotkey B. So it goes back like 10 seconds if you hit hotkey B. The problem is, if the replay is hosted without a battle report added to it, which is something I can't add after the fact, it basically backs up the replay and ignores the shift button. Anyways, I should probably change hotkeys, but I've been too lazy. I actually really like the battle report. Sadly, it's not added in every single game. Once again, though, Zealots right here at the 12 o'clock position, going to town and destroying probes, and they're even thinking about killing the Nexus. MaxPax doing an amazing job, though, continuously, yeah, forcing his opponent to position their army in the position that MaxPax wants. So now that Nexus gets destroyed, I mean, there was an Archon there, but the Archon alone is not going to be enough to push back those Zealots. Bunch of probes ended up going down as well. Maybe a little bit of an overextension right here for the player in blue, but he's got an awful lot of units. Prism, can he get that? If MaxPax can get that, I think he will. Yeah. Oh, he snipes it and he gets out of there. Disruptor coming in from the side. Now there's a couple of Zealots down south here as well, but reinforcing Stalkers are going to be able to get rid of that. Usually the next order of business, as far as unit compositions go at this point in the game, is going to be Dark Templar. So imagine how obnoxious all of this is to control, right? You got to be on top of everything. Now imagine a bunch of Blink Dark Templar moving around as well. A couple of invisible men being annoying. Got to have your observers in the right place as well. This is always what I think of whenever people talk about Protoss, F2 A move race, am I right? This is the furthest from an F2 attack move, like an all-army attack move army that you can go. You can't really play that Death Ball-y force very easily in this matchup. I mean, eventually you can get to carriers, but I don't think we're going to be getting there with how aggressive both of these players are being. There's no way that they can actually afford it. Anyways, there's MaxPax going for the Dark Shrine. Even if you can't afford a bunch of Stargates right now, I think you probably want to be spending your money on making additional attacking units that work right now instead. Okay, quite a few Disruptors available though. He's going to be bowling some of those units backwards as well. He really wants to go after this Nexus, but even though he will get the Nexus, I'm a little bit afraid he's going to be stuck in the corner. Although that being said, apparently MaxPax has looked at this. He thought about going in for a counter-attack instead. He doesn't know exactly where the opponent's army is located, but it's obvious. That's a lot of Disruptors right now. 8 in favor of Krystianer, who's now at a 40 supply lead. MaxPax desperately going for another base right here on the left side of the map. If anyone is going to transition towards higher tier units, I think it's going to be Krystianer, but it seems to me that right now he's smelling blood in the water. Going for another Nexus up north. His economy is not as great as we'd like it to be. I mean, he doesn't have as many mining bases, I suppose, because Well, MaxPax has been quite relentless when it comes to the worker killing. Slowly but surely, though, Krystianer has actually caught up in that department as well. I'm liking this position. You know what? Scratch that. I'm cheering for Krystianer now. If I were a betting man, I would have assumed MaxPax. But you know what? Krystianer, one of those European macro Protosses, showing us that he should not be counted out. Yeah, this is starting to be quite desperate right now for MaxPax. He does not have a lot of mining anymore. I mean, sure, he's got a Dark Templar group, right? That's nice. There you go. It's killing more probes. Maybe a couple Zealots. Whoop-de-doo. The problem is that, yeah, he doesn't actually have a whole lot in general. He just doesn't have enough stuff. How many Disruptors are available? Okay. Krystianer at 8. MaxPax at 5. At this point, though, we're getting to the point where MaxPax is relying on those Disruptors to get a lot of work done. I mean, blowing up your opponent's Disruptors is certainly a fantastic start. Woo, you know what? Those were some really stellar detonations. Okay. Krystianer aggressively blinking towards his opponent's Disruptors here. He still has enough. Yeah, I think he still has enough. The hell's dangerous, though. MaxPax pulling a rabbit out of a hat, and he had it by the ears. Not quite enough yet, though. Yeah, you see the old army hotkey here? All of the observers have arrived as well, so there definitely was a little bit of panicking going on. Okay, splitting off the units once more, trying to get into the right place. MaxPax securing a new expansion. Income-wise, though, yeah, this game has been an absolute roller coaster right here for the Danishman. It's, for the Danishman? For the Dane, I guess? That's probably, yeah, there you go. Anyways, yeah, he doesn't have a whole lot of income anymore. And that's where this game is likely going to be decided. For every minute that goes by right now, Krystianer is getting like a, I don't know, like a 1500 resource advantage. And even if your opponent is bleeding out a couple of Archons like that and maybe taking some bad Disruptor hits, I don't see how you're going to be able to catch up. Dark Templar being as obnoxious as they can be. Problem is Krystianer just securing more and more bases. Gotta be very careful. Battery overcharge, of course, also something to keep in mind. Ooh! Okay, I thought he was looking away. Just blink at the last moment. If you're struggling in this matchup, just micro better. Duh. Anyways, there we go. Game number 1 goes in favor of Krystianer. I do love a good underdog story, though. Not gonna lie. It would be amazing if Krystianer ends up winning this series. Game number 2, it's taking place on the map Cosmic Sapphire, and it looks like, once again, we've got ourselves a very similar build order variety. So, he's opting to go for a double gateway on top of the high ground, as well as a cybercore, I'm assuming here. Where are we gonna put it? Alright, there we go. The double gateway approach allows you to make a couple Stalkers right at the very start of the game, whereas MaxPax, even on a map that doesn't have a ramp leading down from the natural, he still decides to go for the wall off here at the front. Cosmic Sapphire does have a bit of a tighter choke point here, so you can actually wall this pretty easily with only 2 structures. I mean, obviously you're gonna have to put a unit over there as well, but you can, yeah, you can wall this pretty easily, so even on a map like this, MaxPax is still enjoying that low ground situation, regardless. Okay, this is where we're gonna be playing Expansion Chicken. We both want to expand, but we don't really want to do so without knowing that the opponent is also going to expand. Stalkers coming up for the player in pink. Yeah, MaxPax is not even bothering right now denying that Nexus because he knows that there's not going to be enough money. Same thing's happening on the other side of the map. Zealot is at this point out. MaxPax made that one completely blindly, and while it does do a pretty good job when it comes to shutting down that pylon, it doesn't do enough damage to actually shut down the pylon without it, you know, you want to cancel it, but yeah, it doesn't kill it fast enough. Alright, so, eventually, after playing Expansion Chicken for a little bit, both players are going for their Nexus on the low ground. Stargate here for MaxPax once again. So even though Krystianer will have the gateway unit advantage, he's not going to have the tech advantage as far as that goes, so we'll have to see what kind of tech he wants to go for here in just a moment. He's got a lot of gas. Okay. It's once again going to be a Twilight Council, just like he did in the previous game. Oracle for MaxPax is going to be sent straight across the map. And he'll be scouting exactly what it is that the opponent is going for here. Yeah, only 2 gateway units, right? So he's actually not really committing to that many gateway units just yet. No sneaky adepts or anything like that. I guess Krystianer is making the assumption here that there's no way that MaxPax is gonna allow those adepts to shade in through the, you know, the wall off over here. I mean, he'll be, like, technically speaking, right? You should never have adepts in your main base, assuming you control your, you know, your micro, your macro correctly, right? If you have your probe in the right place at the right time and you actually complete the wall off, you should never have adept shading into your base. And nevertheless, we still see it all the time, even at a high level of play. But I think Krystianer has decided, you know what? Against someone like MaxPax, it's just not going to happen. Maybe it works against weaker players, but MaxPax a little bit too good. Once again, that Void Raider. Interesting. Now, admittedly, I haven't watched that much PvP lately. So maybe I should actually cast it a little bit more too, so we can actually have an update on the mirror matchups a little more too. Like, in general, I've noticed on my channel, I mean, a lot of you, by the way, thank you very much. A lot of you watch whatever I upload, which is fantastic, okay? One of my most disliked things of being a YouTuber is having to make thumbnails and titles that are a little bit clickbaity. I mean, I try to not be clickbaity because I find it incredibly obnoxious whenever people, you know, just straight up lie in their titles and all that. So I try to, like, legit bait you in the sense that, you know, I kind of give you a little bit of, ooh, I want to go watch that, but, you know, you actually kind of know what's going to happen in the game, at least a little bit. I don't want to spoil anything too significant. It can be quite annoying if you make daily content to, yeah, constantly be thinking, okay, what is going to be a good title? What is going to be a good thumbnail? So shout out to the guys that watch literally everything, okay? I could probably upload a bunch of videos where I could literally probably call this like MaxPax versus Krystianer.mp4 and then not even add a custom thumbnail, and some of you would still watch, which I very much so appreciate. That being said, I have noticed, I was thinking, where did that come from? Right, that being said, I have noticed that generally speaking, the mirror matchups, a Protoss versus Protoss, a Zerg versus Zerg, a Terran versus Terran, usually those videos, viewer-wise, don't do as well as the non-mirror matchups. But you know what? It would be nice to check out some more of them. Because PvP, like, honestly, the mirror matchups... Okay, well, maybe I should talk about this battle for just a moment before I talk about it some more. We have some nice Blink Stalker control. That battery overcharge, though, is super nice as well. Both players trying to get a third Nexus up, and yeah, Krystianer gets pushed back here. MaxPax already with his own blink done as well. Grabbing the watchtower, being annoying. Okay, so here's what I wanted to say. Historically speaking, the mirror matchups in StarCraft 2, so ZVZ, TVT, PvP, they have not been as good, right? As, for example, compared to Zerg versus Terran, Zerg versus Protoss, Protoss versus Terran, right? The thing is, I think these days, in 2022, the game is actually balanced very nicely. I mean, obviously, the balance is never going to be perfect, but the mirror matchups have gotten significantly better. Right now, what we're watching here is excellent. Anyways, just my 2 cents. Maybe you disagree. Let me know down below in the comment section. Void Ray still surviving with just a couple of health. Battery overcharge being used right now, though, but that army here from MaxPax looking really nice. How many gateways are we on? Only 3. Okay, so he's got 3 gateways at this point, but that does explain how calm... yeah, he's got a couple more units here than his opponent. Both players going for the +1 upgrade. You know, see a robo facility here as well for Krystianer. He's not looking as comfortable in this game so far compared to the previous one. Seems to be that MaxPax is controlling the map very nicely, despite the fact that he was the one with the slower tech. At the very least, the slower upgrades. He decides to now go for the charge here. Whereas we now also see charge coming up on the other side of the map. So this is where the gateway explosion happens. So even though MaxPax got himself 1 gateway a little bit faster here, and he cut out a couple of probes in order to pull off that additional unit production, both players are going to end up with the same amount of gateways here, eventually. Couple of adepts thinking about shading through to the natural, but already Krystianer having a little Stalker rain dance over here. Making sure that those units are not going to be able to get into that mineral line. At the very least, not for very long. New expansion being made as well up north at the 12 o'clock position. And now we have a Robo Bay already. Okay, so Definitely a little bit of a quicker robo-bait than what we saw in the previous game. And considering how everything's been going so far for MaxPax, I think he does have that wiggle room. Being very aggressive right now with the prism positioning, though. Does manage to keep it alive for just a little bit longer. Here's those adepts being annoying, but they get picked up for free. At the same time, here's that little stalker move through the center of the map. MaxPax has got a good amount of units, snipes the photon cannon, and then decides to get on out of there. Couple more photon cannons here. But Krystianer playing this game a whole lot more with his back against the wall, right? He needs to be very cautious here with how he's positioning his units, and he's not moving around as confidently as he did in the previous game. Here comes MaxPax once again. Just trading more efficiently than his opponent. Getting another Stalker there. Okay. Yeah, probably want to be moving that sentry a little bit closer, yeah, to make sure that all the units are caught up in the bubble. +2 armor is really, really nice. Reinforcements coming up, though, and that was definitely a bit of an overextension there from MaxPax. Those photon cannons are super nice. Adding a lot of value in the mix. A lot of units falling on both sides, but whenever you have a defensive player, life usually gets a little bit easier, right? Whenever you're the defensive player and you have that static defense and a couple of those shield batteries, and you've got yourself maybe the reinforcements arriving a little bit quicker. Maybe not as important in PvP because of the warp-in mechanic, but it is definitely nice to have that defender's advantage. Okay, Disruptors are hitting the battlefield. So real quick, Disruptors, they have a skill called Purification Nova. It's not energy-based, it's 100% cooldown-based. So after you use it, the cooldown starts running, and then you can use it again a little bit later. While the Purification Nova ability is channeling, you cannot blow it up early, so you don't have that option. You have to wait until it completely finishes channeling, and the Disruptor is vulnerable while it's channeling because it cannot move. If the Disruptor is killed while the Purification Nova is channeling, the ability is cancelled. So that's why we see those aggressive blinks forward and a lot of dances between the units, because, yeah, it's a complete glass cannon, but you know, glass cannons, when you have enough of them, usually tend to connect regardless. Even if the opponent has really stellar control. Okay. This is once again making itself up for an excellent macro game, actually. Disruptors have come out a little bit sooner, and I liked it a lot in the previous game for MaxPax. He seemed to be more comfortable playing that Stalker Disruptor ball than he did just the purely Stalker-based armies. They're so comfortable. Like, literally seconds before... Not even a second. Like, a tenth of a second before dying. They're just chilling there. He's just controlling it. Yep. Yep. There you go. Blink in and sniping a unit before they do so. Static defense here helping out, keeping that base alive. But as Krystianer is only just now securing the 4th base, and he finally finishes up that Nexus, we've got ourselves already a 5th Nexus all the way up north for MaxPax. Big battle once again, another Disruptor getting sniped. Disruptors coming out of the main base right now as well for MaxPax, who decides to roll them through his own army. Okay, a couple of Zealots here. Being annoying as well. I think they must have come in from the side. MaxPax is warping in a ton of reinforcements up north, though. I don't know if I like that all too much. If he loses those Zealots here, as well as the Prism, that would be really quite bad. In the meantime, though, MaxPax's main army is cutting off these units. Can he blink on top of that? That would be massive. Is he paying attention? He is paying attention, so at the very least, he does not lose the Stalker ball, though. But I actually thought it was both players miscontrolling their army, positioning there for a little bit. I think they may have, but they were still on top of it regardless. Disruptor here coming out of left field as well. There's another Purification Nova that MaxPax just barely manages to deny. Okay, finally gets a good hit. That's what we want to see, Krystianer. Excellent. I'm actually very impressed with the way that Krystianer is playing this series so far. Ooh. It's a dangerous game, but he's going toe-to-toe. Dark Shrine coming up once again, a little bit quicker here for MaxPax. The Zealots coming into sight. Okay, that base is not going to happen. Another Nexus coming up here for MaxPax as well down south. Okay. Krystianer right now trying to create a choke right here on this base. Successfully pulling that off as well, and that Nexus is now gone. Yeah, you can roll the balls all you want, but you have to deal significant amounts of damage before those Stalkers actually Get out of there. Ooh. A little bit of jiggling right there on that one Zealot. Units being obnoxious left, right, and center, but Krystianer once again grabbing an advantage. No way. He's now 20 supply up on his opponent. Here we go. Aggressive blink forward. That one is inspiring confidence for sure. Moving into the opponent's army. MaxPax, though, still at 88 probes. He's going for the Shadow Stride ability right now as well, so that's the blink Dark Templar. One thing to note, by the way, about Purification Nova is that it deals friendly damage as well. So, yeah, it just deals damage to anything that's caught within that circle. Other than air units, I suppose, but... Dude, nice! Grabs another Nexus. That Nexus is super dead. MaxPax kind of just trailing behind his own economy. He's got that base on the left side secured, so that's nice. But at the same time, Krystianer is also taking the same base here down south. Now the Dank Templar, though, have arrived, and these guys have a ton of DPS. Like, maybe not Disruptor level damage per second, at least not when the Purification Nova explodes, but overall, they deal a ton of damage. They're kind of like Zealots in this matchup, except stronger and more gas expensive. Of course, Photon Cannons are detectors as well. So, Observers are, but so are the Photon Cannons. So, Krystianer manages to keep that base alive. This is just like that series that I casted yesterday between Cyan and Dark. You can really see that the playing field has kind of leveled off a little bit in StarCraft 2. At the very least, like, the top level players are all still really, really good, of course. But the guys just below that used to be quite a bit weaker overall. And maybe that's still the case, but Cyan showcased some excellent gameplay, and at least theoretically speaking, Krystianer should be a little bit weaker here than MaxPax, but doesn't necessarily seem to be the case. He's now making that choice to go into the Stargates. Okay. He's losing a lot of probes, though. Yeah, probes are getting wrecked left, right, and center. Those Dark Templar being super annoying. Triple Stargate coming up. So he wants to make that Carrier Tempest transition that we see so often in the late game of this matchup. Okay, once again, Disruptors getting sniped in the middle of the map. Army moving in through the right side. Okay, those probes are super dead. And that Nexus is not going to be too far behind either. This is because Krystianer is busy microing on the, the other side of the map while also trying to control his main base. Eventually, the Dark Templar will be denied. Nexus over here gets destroyed. Another Nexus is going to fall on the other side of the map. MaxPax right now, though, the one with a supply lead, he decides to recall the majority of his units. They decide to pop off, oh my god, in a very interesting location. And a huge Purification Nova just connected with Krystianer's army. Careful now. Ooh. More Stalkers returning back home as well. Oh, this fight is really not going the way that Krystianer had planned, although MaxPax walking into the Purification Novas as well. More Disruptors coming in from left field as well. I guess technically right field here from the right side of the map. A couple of Disruptors in blue also get caught off guard. Here's a big Zealot charge. I don't know why he canceled the charge there. A lot of damage being done, though. Okay, both players just took a tremendous amount of losses. This is where that battle report would be awesome. But again, I can't actually add it to a replay. It has to be there when the lobby gets hosted. Anyway. Resources lost. MaxPax still not in the best of positions there. But I've got a feeling it looked worse for him just a couple minutes ago. Krystianer is setting himself up for that Stargate transition. He's got the Stargates done. He invested into that technology, but doesn't really have the time nor the money right now to make that call. Here's Zealots and Dark Templar once again. That's really what the Dark Templar are good at. Like, they're not even necessarily that great at harassment, which, you know, they are, of course. They're not necessarily that much better than Zealots, but they just create so much chaos, right? Since you have to keep, you already have to do so many things. Since you already have to do so many things, now also being on top of your observer positioning, trying to check where the cloaked units go. Obviously, you don't have a nice dot on the minimap to show you exactly where those units are located. Without detection nearby, it's really difficult to, stay on top of everything. And that's, I think, where the Dark Templar really shine. They create so much chaos. Purification Nova, once again, last second connection right there on the Stalkers in pink. MaxPax right now grabbing a solid supply lead, although I do think he's overextending a little bit. He needs to get his reinforcements over here. Okay, a lot of his army is right now on the right side of the map. Those Dark Templar and Zealots are ready to go in for even more worker harassment. Another ball does connect right there with Krystianer's army, and another one. GG is cold. And despite the fact that Krystianer was ahead, it's MaxPax who wins game number 2. Next up, Data C. MaxPax once again opting to go for that low ground wall-off. Historically speaking, we've only ever seen the low ground wall-off on very, very specific maps, but MaxPax has figured out ways to make it work on every single map. So obviously, since you only go for a single gateway and then straight into a cybercore, usually, he wants to block the cybercore as well. Usually you do get your tech going a little bit quicker. So Krystianer once more opting to go for the double gateways right here on top of the ramp. The double gateway is excellent, but you are expected to build something out of both of the gateways at least once, right? So if you're going for example, double Stalker, you're obviously spending gas on units that, well, are costing gas, and you can't spend that gas at the same time on, for example, a Twilight Council immediately, right? It's very obvious, but it does mean that MaxPax should be able to, all right, figure out roughly what's happening. It's gonna be a proxy robo. MaxPax is gonna go for a scout in the top left-hand corner to make sure that there's no proxy Stargate happening here. I quite like this move here, though, from Krystianer. I mean, MaxPax has been flying Oracle straight through to the other side of the map. So I guess if the Oracle takes a path straight towards the opponent's main base, it might fly across this robo facility. But there's already a good amount of scouting here happening on the other side as well. So MaxPax sneaking the probe away. He's gonna see that it's not double Stalker, but double Adept. Now, one huge tell that MaxPax can get is see the lack of Nexus. Yep. So he's going right now. And he sees very little so far. He's gonna check the main base here once again. Prism coming up, by the way. Probe here being annoying, scouting out exactly what's happening inside of the main bases of MaxPax. MaxPax, though, cleverly here... Oh, what? Oh, never mind. He wanted to go for a Void Ray, but he hit a supply block. I think a Void Ray is an excellent choice. I think he just can't afford one right now because he didn't have the supply for it. So he decided, you know what, I guess I'll go for an Oracle instead. Anyways, he doesn't know exactly what he's going up against at this point, but he does realize that something seems a little bit off. Hasn't seen that proxy, though. Okay, now he knows. No reason why those Adepts should be inside of a Prism already. This is where a Void Ray would be pretty sweet, of course, and he starts one up immediately. If he would have started up that Void Ray right away, that would have been fantastic. Only 3 probes so far. Pulsar Beam is going to run out of energy eventually. It's out right now, so... that Oracle is going to be next to useless, at least for another little bit. But this is certainly not enough damage to justify this opener here by Krystianer. Battery air at the front as well. 2 batteries. 3rd battery now added into the mix as well. Void Ray should be able to make good use of its its ability as well to get rid of his Adepts. And Krystianer decided to not commit with them in the first place. So you're gonna have to break this wall. Another Void Ray coming up. Yeah, those shield batteries here are so nice. Prismatic alignment activated here. You don't want to chase too far. There's the Oracle being annoying, but luckily here for us, Krystianer did make a shield battery, so we're not going to see a huge explosion as far as the amount of workers go. That one shield battery can repair this very, very nicely. Okay, so he doesn't have Blink, but what he does have is an elevator. Or a Prism, whatever. Prisms, elevators, same thing. So obviously this way he's going to be able to negate that natural altogether. Very nice pickup control here, trying to keep as many of these units alive. Battery rather though, also built inside of the main base. So a battery overcharge will be used over there. Stalkers do snipe that Prism, and that is rough. Now these Stalkers are stuck. Yeah, with that Prism going down, there's nowhere to go. And Krystianer decides to tap out. You know what? I decided to skip the first 2 minutes of our game on Tropical Sacrifice. That's gonna be the 4th map in this best of 5 series. Because as you may have already guessed, we've got very similar build orders once again. Okay, MaxPax opting to go for a quick Stargate here, but he decided to go for the low ground wall off. And Krystianer, he's got himself a double gateway inside of the main base. Now, you could probably dream the first 2 minutes of these guys facing off against each other at this point. Let's see. This is where we play Nexus Chicken. Nexus is going to be coming up. Yeah, pylon, blah, blah, blah. Actually, very nice pylon here. It's going to be quite annoying, although he loses the probe at the cost of it. Plus, I mean, that Stargate is already done. Well, almost going to be done anyway, so. MaxPax is going to be able... MaxPax is going to be able to get his units going there in just a moment, so I don't think he minds being up a little bit of money. Oracle, I imagine? Yeah, that was a quick chrono. Depth there shading forward. Did it see the Nexus? It did not. Pushing around the dog for a little bit, but I do believe he's going to be able to find that Nexus here. Stalkers, yeah, going through the center of the map, hunting down the Adept, but now he knows. Okay. Stargate this time around as well from Krystianer. I always feel like Krystianer is really trying to play a variety now, right? Like, he did the 2 first games with an identical build order. And then game 3, he changed up a little bit. Game 4, he's now changing up a little bit as well. I wouldn't mind seeing him just do the same thing again with the Twilight Council opener and all that, but... Problem is, right now, MaxPax scouts exactly what's happening here. So he goes for a Phoenix as a follow-up, which is an excellent choice. Oracle going into the main base. Ooh, okay. Only getting a single worker there. It wasn't a tech move, I guess. Phoenix coming up as well for... he thought about it anyways. He decides to cancel the Phoenix, go for a Twilight Council. Phoenix is already available, though, for our player in blue, if I'm not mistaken. Unless he canceled that one, too. No. He knows where that Oracle is located right now, as apparently it has decided this is a killer Oracle to go after the Stalker in the middle of the map. Should be able to get that, but... that's a super expensive Oracle. Okay, gets a Zealot, too. Maybe a little bit okay, but not ideal. Not ideal. 4 probes in total right here. 1 Zealot, 1 Adept, 1 Stalker. I almost feel like MaxPax needs to give his opponent a Sentry as well. Let me actually update the scoreboard real quick. Sorry. Didn't mean to confuse anybody. 2-1 right now for MaxPax. Max point, or max point? Match point right here. Excellent control right here, though. Using that that Stalker, or sorry, using that, what's it called, the Phoenix, to push back the Stalker and allowing the Oracle to get a couple more kills inside of that mineral line. Okay, good start right here from MaxPax. He's lost a bunch of units, but he, of course, also got himself a solid amount of economy done, and that's super important at this point in the game. When you're not, you know, gonna lose the game within the next couple of minutes, it's a great idea to be at an economical advantage. He's now pushing that as well by going for a 3rd Nexus. Krystianer not going to be able to do a whole lot against that, because as soon as he finishes up his Blink upgrade, his opponent is also going to finish up the Blink upgrade. MaxPax right now leveraging that Twilight Council into a Dark Shrine as well. Certainly a little bit quicker, and obviously Krystianer ended up losing that Oracle. Without the Oracle, it can be quite difficult to get detection done, right? So he's going Blink right now. We'll have to see when he decides to go for the Robo Facility, because I think a Robo Facility is going to be super important. Okay, here come the Stalkers. Shield Battery is not done yet. Nexus is not done yet either, but here's that, well, pesky little Phoenix once more. Phoenix actually putting in a lot of value. Very supportive unit, apparently, in this game. I'm starting to get a little bit anxious right now for the Dark Templar situation. Proxy Pylon on the right side of the map. Krystianer is heading in that direction. He goes for his own Dark Shrine right now. He sees it. Hello? Good. I was gonna say, if he does not get detection out in time, he's gonna be in a lot of trouble, and that Dark Shrine is finishing right now. We're gonna need to see a Robo Facility or something along those lines. Okay, there it comes. So there's gonna be detection here eventually. If MaxPax would be warping in like 3 Dark Templar right now on this side of the map, that would be a lot of trouble right here for Krystianer. Luckily for him, he did find that pylon, so crisis averted for now. Would still like to see some Dark Templar, though. Okay, it's gonna be one. One invisible man. Love to see it. A little bit of control here at the front, but Shield Battery is gonna keep those units alive nice and prettily. No Observer yet. No detection yet. Here goes Zera tool. Ooh, he sees it, I think. Krystianer sees the little shimmer. Yeah, he sees it. Oh my god, he just made a prison. Oh my god, he just made a prison. The Dark Templar is stuck. No way. Okay, he's getting an observer going right now. That was such a cute move. I don't think I've seen that before, at least not recently. He saw the shimmer and recognized immediately what he needed to do. Set up a little prison. I thought maybe you want to do that by blinking on top. What is this Dark Templar doing? Looking at the opponent's Dark Shrine? It's identical, mate. Now the observer is up above, but still 8 kills here in total on the probes once again. That is 9. It is very, very nice. $16 worker kills actually by MaxPax in total. Hey, thank you, by the way, Krystianer, for making that Dark Templar prison. I'm gonna be able to use that on the thumbnail, dude. I appreciate that. You know what? All things considered, this game, I mean, it's still definitely an advantage here for MaxPax, but it's very playable. I say that. So it's small advantages in every direction right now, right? So it's charge, that's a little bit quicker. It's the forge upgrade that's a little bit quicker compared to the opponents. It is, of course, a faster 4th Nexus. The army is a little bit bigger as well. Economy is also ever so slightly bigger here for MaxPax. So as far as the pillars of StarCraft 2 go, MaxPax has got himself a solid lead. But the defender's advantage for PvP is quite significant. So, yeah, there's a chance that Krystianer can hold on here. Especially if he's going into a Robo Bay right now, and he'll probably go for Disruptors. He's going up to a ton of additional gateways as well, so he's going to be at 8 in just a moment, but not just yet. Without those gateways done, actually, his reinforcements are not going to come out very quickly. He's going double Disruptor once more, which is what he did in the previous games too. MaxPax sniffing that out brilliantly, though. He realizes right now, wait a second, my opponent goes for a Robo Bay, and then double Robo Facility production. That means he can't really have that much at this point in the game. 1 Dark Templar, okay, being obnoxious, trying to shut down whatever pylon production it can. Not enough Stalkers in blue just yet, though, but now the reinforcing Zealots are coming up. This is starting to look a little bit scary. That shield battery is gone. New shield battery is coming up, but 1 Phoenix. The manager right here of these units in blue, just sort of overseeing whatever they're getting done. Dark Templar in the main base actually sniping a lot of the production structures here. Probes are starting to fold. There's a Disruptor coming up, but that Disruptor just rolled down the ramp. Another Disruptor will be coming up in just a moment, but now the Zealots are charging forward. Okay, GG is cool. Honestly, a very strong showing from Krystianer, but MaxPax is the one who ends up winning the ESL Open Cup number 150 3-1 in the Grand Finals.